it's Tom Brady on TV.
Mm.
And he's on with Coward. I was like, clearly he announced the retirement because he went on with Fox. And I didn't have the audio on, but then I clicked it onto my phone so I could listen. And then you text me that I guess he said that he's not starting Fox until 2024. And as I'm listening, I come on right when Colin, they're not talking about Fox or broadcasting, they're talking about his career. And Colin asked him a couple of specific questions about playing. And he refuses. The only thing I took away is he did not say the word retirement. It was like, he honestly was acting like Belichick for that answer. And then I text you, I'm like, he's kind of acting like a robot. And then he got a little more normal about other questions about his life or football and teammates. And he became more normal. But on that specific one, I felt like he put up the guardrails. It wasn't like, I'm done, I'm retired, had a hell of a run. He easily could have quadrupled down on everything he said, and he did not.
Colin asked him a very direct question. Let's listen together.
Right? Is there 1% chance you could get talked back into playing?
I think for me, I know in my heart how I feel. And, I put it out on the field for 23 years, and I'm super proud of, what's been accomplished. And, I just wanted to keep last week really short and sweet. And I felt like I've given a lot. I've gained a lot. I've learned a lot. And, life is about, exciting things ahead too. So I think when one thing closes, like football has for me for, 32 years of my life. And, I look forward to what's ahead. There's new chapters and there's new exciting things and there's new growth, there's new opportunities. And I'm really excited for what's ahead. So, I've loved my time at football. It's absolutely an incredible love in my life. And it's hard to make decisions like that, but it's certainly the right time.
Part of, I think, what's important there is specifically Colin's question is Colin, and I didn't play it in that, but Colin sets it up with, I got to ask you this because people are constantly talking about it on the internet. So what Colin is saying in the question, he says it very specifically, is, Tom, can you once and for all put all this to bed? That's basically what he says. Is there a 1% chance you're going to play? And Tom does not. He says, I know in my heart how I feel, but then he doesn't tell us what that is exactly. Very weird answer. Very weird answer.
It felt like he got really close. It was like he was on the beach, but he refused to get in the water. He kind of talked about he used those numbers, 23 years, 32 years of playing. Why couldn't he just say, I'm done? And
the natural answer would be, not, oh, yeah, 1%, it's over. That's the answer.
He couldn't do it.
Why?
He can't, because one thing they continued to talk about was you watch you play, you can still play. That's the thing. Think about his contemporaries. Favre KO'd. Peyton couldn't throw. Breeze shot. Roethlisberger shot. Eli kind of shot. Rivers actually wasn't totally shot. Had a pretty good year, but was almost 40.
I'd heard Rivers wanted to come back. The Colts didn't want him back.
And probably didn't want to go to his third team. I'll just go coach the little guys. Just went to coaching. Rivers, unlike I think a lot of the other players, had a specific, this high school team's waiting for me. Remember he did the press conference 3 years before he retired and cried? It was that was 2018. They introduced him to be the head coach. It's I still got a couple more years left, but I'm coming for you, seventh graders. And I wonder if Tom's in this weird spot, I think, in life where all these people are pressuring him to make a decision that deep down, he's getting pressured into things that it's not 100% about him. Now, part of it, he's a dad, and Colin mentioned after Tom gets off, he's in New York. Obviously, his son lives there. I think his life's pretty complicated. Anytime you have multiple children or have children from multiple women, you get a divorce, right? Mm-hmm. So that means you have multiple baby mamas. You're Tom freaking Brady.
It means all your kids aren't in one place.
Yeah, that's
young kids.
Where would you put him on the scale in just our life, mid-90s to now, fame athletes? Is he an all-time? I mean, top 5 all-timer?
I'd say Tiger, Michael, Kobe, probably Shaq too. But I think basketball players of a certain era were just as famous as as football players in this country, and not probably, and more famous worldwide. Like, Kobe, no football, Tom and Peyton, like Kobe was every bit their equal, if not bigger than them in this country, and also much bigger than them worldwide. Tiger crossed all kinds of lines. Shaq. So I guess the question is there a bigger football star of the last 30 years?
If we just went domestically, I would say even in America, it feels like Michael and Tiger had like Michael Jackson, Beatles level. Like they were just so unique.
Yeah.
And obviously basketball's bigger than golf, but I think that proves the power of Tiger. I mean, to me, he's the most unique sports star of our life. I think part of it is his sport is unique, right?
Well, a guy that looks like him in his sport is also like, that was part of the story too, right?
Yeah, like how many people could you meet that are 30 and older that you could say the word Tom Brady and they wouldn't know who like Joe Montana is? Like there are a lot of other famous sports stars in his sport. But I guess overall my point is he's just insanely famous right now. And I think there are just so many complications with his life that probably make it a little more complicated than like if in a vacuum, I don't think he'd stop playing. And you could kind of hear it in his words,
Yeah, and it goes back to, did he end up, was that announcement on the same day that he retired last year?
I don't know. Feels like everyone, like the Darlingtons and the people that kind of knew were like, he was so pissed off last year of people reporting things that he didn't want, that not from his mouth, that he wanted to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
Is that AI?
You think it's not really Tom?
Well, I saw someone zoom in on his face and it kind of looked like
his face looks different.
Yeah, I think it's AI. Who's that?
Will Compton, not Tom. Will Compton. Funny photo.
Will Compton's growing on me.
Yeah, I mean, for a guy who played as long as he played and then retired and unretired, you could wonder, did he announce when he announced for other reasons than this is truly how he feels inside? Because he can't say it. He couldn't say it when asked about it. Are you sure, Tom? There's no chance you're coming back. And he didn't say, yes, there is no chance I'm coming back. And then he's also putting off Fox for another year. Now, maybe he wants to take time off with his family. Maybe he wants to go become the Dolphins owner, wants to spend some time doing other things. But
he mentioned that as the interview went on, not based on why 2024, but like there are things in my life that obviously when you play football that I got to do a better job. I think he kind of insinuated like his family. He's got a big family, right? He's got multiple kids.
Yeah. He's got multiple.
He's old. I mean, he's 45.
Right? Like his sister's daughter's a UCLA softball star. Maybe he wants to go watch UCLA in Oklahoma City for a week. I don't know.
Parents were getting up there in age. How many? You just never know.
Member guest with his dad at Cal Club, or member, I guess in their case. Maybe Tom would be the guest. I saw enough there that if I were a team that wanted Tom Brady, and somebody last week, or beginning of last week wrote a list. I don't know if it was Breer, of like teams that had just kind of been on the maybe they thought about it. Handful of teams. What would have been the teams? Raiders, Niners. I saw enough there that if I were in charge of a team like the 49ers, if I were John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan, I'd put in a call. Like, Tom, I just saw this interview. What does this mean? Or however you would, they're talking. They know who Tom's agent is. He's Jimmy Garoppolo's agent. They have a very good relationship with him. What does this mean? It's worth a question, because Colin gave Tom a very clear, direct question, and Tom did not. Not only did he not answer it directly, he answered it like cutting off himself at times. Like at one point he said, life is all about, and then he says, exciting things ahead too, which is not, that in and of itself is not like a properly structured sentence. Life is all about exciting things ahead too. So he's like, he was trying to come up with the answer there. And in trying to come up with the answer, we just talked for whatever that clip length was, 60 seconds or whatever it was, and did not answer the question. And the question was, can you put this thing to rest? And he did the opposite of putting it to rest.
honestly, I think the Raiders are much more likely to just throw the kitchen sink at them than the 49ers. And the 49ers have proven, like,
Yeah.
there's a desperation level to the Raiders. Like, there's no guarantee that they can trade for Rodgers, one. And two, like, you could easily, like, hey, the Jets are willing to give a 1 this year and a 2 next year, and the 2 turns into a 1 if we're in the AFC Championship. It's like, we can't – will you guys match? And what if the Raiders saying, like, there is an element that they might just draw a line in the sand of, like, we can't, we're not going to get Rodgers, right? Because these other teams get more aggressive. We signed Brady. We don't have to give up anything. And, like, our head coach is the head coach because of Tom Brady. Like, their relationship. Say what you want about the 49ers. They remember last time Tom went through Wes Welker. Like, Josh and Tom, think of the hours. Josh and Tom have spent infinitely more time together than, like, me and you, right? Just think about probably for a decade in the 2000s and then the last 6 years of just think of the hours those two guys have spent talking to each other and with each other on a daily, in the same room, practice field, games, traveling together, family events. I mean, now I don't know if, like, I don't see how Tom doesn't think highly of them. Feels like they're pretty tight, right?
Yeah, I mean, who else?
Why would we feel anything else?
Also, I would just say, like, who would Tom have a stronger connection with than this guy?
You would say personally, his relationship with Josh is probably infinitely stronger than Bill, right?
Yeah.
About the things they have talked about deeply in their life over the years. And Josh, in a weird way, it's a coach-player relationship, but yeah, they're basically the same age. So there is kind of a kinship of, like, I wonder if it goes back to 2002 when Josh got there. Pretty similar human beings in terms of who do you resonate a lot with. The older you get, it doesn't matter. Like, I have younger friends now and know people in their 60s that I would consider a friend and be able to text. But there is something special when you come into a place at 22 and you're both 22. Even if you're in, one guy's a player, one guy's a quality control, like, their relationship's kind of unique just given they're literally the same fucking age.
Yeah.
And they kind of, one at the highest level together.